What's up, guys? I hope this is working because I have no idea what I'm doing with this thing. I also have a feedback in my microphone, but somebody, all right, good. Somebody type in and let me know that I'm on. And I got a little delay here with the comments too, so by the time it pops up, you guys are probably gonna be saying, "What's he waiting for?" All right, I don't see anything just yet. Um, But anyway, well, so I'm waiting for. Okay, I got one. I'm good. All right, cool. So while we're waiting for a couple more guys to get on this, because this is sort of last minute when I decided to do it, um, I figured let me just sort of start with an introduction and um, see what we're going to cover today. First of all, I want to thank you two for allowing me to set this up. Um, this is something that couldn't have come at a better time for me because even though I'd like to be in the gym right now doing my regular workout video for you guys, I haven't had a chance to really do that given, as you guys know, what happened with my appendix. It sort of came about me really, really quick and knocked me on my butt a little bit, but I promise, I think next week I'll be back in the gym here with a video. That's how fast I feel like I'm getting better. And believe me, I am absolutely chomping at the bit to get on here and do something. So anyway, in the meantime, I figured let's get the Q&A going so we can start answering some of your questions and I can still be productive and not feel like I can't do anything. All right, so we're in the gym, we're in the Xbox. I want you to start asking me your questions about nutrition, supplementation, workout, anything you want to ask me. Hopefully I can be a resource for you guys and answer them for you. So go ahead and put your comments in this box. I have a little box here next to me. It's delayed from probably what you guys are seeing, but when I do see them come up here, I'm going to do my best to try to get to as many as I can. So, and I'm going to try one thing with my audio while I'm waiting for the question. Hold on one second. Okay. Can you guys still hear me now that I did that? Someone just type in and let me know if you can still hear me. I'm hoping that you can, and I'm gonna start looking through the questions. I had a real bad feedback in my ear, so um, I got rid of that. So all right, so let's start looking at the questions. Let's see. I have a question about bulking when you're an ectomorph. Okay, that's my favorite question right off the bat. Bulking as an ectomorph is not necessary. Guys, I've said this all along. When you train and eat properly, you do not have to go through a bulking phase first in order to put on what's substantially going to become a big mix of some lean muscle and a lot of fat to cover that. And then what you're going to do is try to work the next 6 to 8 weeks of trying to lose the fat that you put on, and you usually wind up costing yourself some muscle in the process. So that whole bulking cutting thing is one of the biggest myths, I think, and that's been around for a long period of time and not necessary. The key is eating the right types of food. So you want to eat healthy, nutritious foods. There's no doubt about that. But you want to eat a lot of them at every opportunity, every meal opportunity, which is 5 to 6 times a day is what I recommend. So when you're eating those meals, even if you'll see in ATHLEAN-X in the meal plans, I don't recommend specific portion sizes because you could be a 220-pound linebacker or you could be a 140-pound hard gainer, and your appetites are going to be different to sustain the muscle that you have. So you have to be able to eat enough to satisfy your body, to satisfy your muscle, um, and still be able to eat the next meal and the next meal, because really what's most important is consistent feeding throughout the day. And I know someone's going to ask me a question about here. I saw something earlier about intermittent fasting. We'll get into that in a little while. But I really believe that it's really important to fuel your body in much the same way that you would fuel a fire if you want it to continue to burn at a high level. So it's not so much about bulking, but it's about eating the right foods in the high enough quantities to provide your body with enough calories to actually help build muscle on top of what you're burning throughout the day. Jeff, can I hurt my joints doing bicep curls with a bit more weight than I regularly do? Absolutely. Your elbows are pretty vulnerable joints because they don't do too much. They're just situated right here between your much more mobile wrist and your much more mobile shoulder, and your elbow is more of just a locked-in hinge joint. So you got a lot of mobility going on above in the wrist or below in the wrist, and a lot more mobility going on above in the shoulder. That elbow, because it has a lot less play in it, is going to be subject to a lot more of the strains and stresses that go on above and below it. So unfortunately, bicep curls are definitely one of those exercises where, depending upon your wrist position, depending upon how high or how much you're using your shoulders in it, your elbows could take the brunt. So I always say try to back off a little bit on the weight. I allow a cheat from the up to the vertical position. So if you have to give a little bit of a swing, only to vertical but not beyond vertical, that's okay. But if you start finding yourself swinging the weight a lot or not controlling the weight on the way down, which is probably going to be the area where you're most susceptible to hurting your elbow, then I would lower the weights and make sure you're doing it in good form. You'll protect your elbows down the way, and you'll be able to actually curl for much more days beyond just the one you're in the gym for. So let's see, what else we got here? God, there's so many questions here. I'm never going to be able to keep up. Move the mic closer to my face. It's really almost literally in my mouth. So it's the fact that we were getting a lot of feedback before. Let's see. Jeff, thanks to you, I've got huge forearms. Please tell me how to get your program in India. I'm from New Delhi, India, watching you live here at midnight. Well, first of all, thank you for the dedication of watching me live at midnight. I'm sure there's many more things you could be doing at midnight. That'd be a lot more fun than watching me. But the program, the best thing about ATHLEAN-X is it's available now online everywhere. So it doesn't matter what country you're in. We actually have guys in over 143 countries, I think it is now, that have bought the program and follow the program. So we deliver everything online. Literally, you log in, your workouts with you. You can have an iPad, iPhone, access it at the gym, follow along with the workouts. They all now have videos with them, so you can follow along with the workouts and get your training in wherever you are. So New Delhi, doesn't matter. You could be anywhere and still do ATHLEAN-X. So thank you for that. Here's the question. The intermittent fasting. Again, it came in early before we started. So the answer to that is I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting. I get the principle behind it. Basically you're looking at, I think most people follow a 16-hour fasting period with an 8-hour eating period. The biggest problem is working out, in that time frame. Now, if you have a job, it could make it even more difficult. You might have to get out of the house early in the morning. It might not coincide with your eating schedule, so you'd have to train during your fasting period. And one of the most important things you can do with your workout, especially when we're talking about nutrition, is get your nutrition right before you work out, after you work out. Incredibly important to get your nutrition right after you work out. And then obviously, we always say nighttime recovery too. But if you're going through fasting periods during your intermittent fasting around your workout, you're totally missing an opportunity to have a opportune time to add muscle growth, because you're taking the stage that you just set with your workout, and you're trying to set the stage for muscle growth and repair right away. It's when your body's most allowing of you to have more nutrients to start that repair process. So if you can set your intermittent fasting up to the point where you are eating around your eating around your workout, and you're still able to fuel yourself around your workout, it's better. But still, I think the best way that your body functions is consistently. And if you think about the whole concept of homeostasis, how it always likes to sort of be at a steady place, whether it be blood sugar, whether it be even energy levels, you're always craving to stay in the same place. you need to be able to consistently fuel that fire as you would a normal fire by throwing another log on every so often. And 16 hours of going with no flame and then trying to burn that flame and that fire for 8 hours at a raging hot pace, and then you're going to kind of put it to bed again. You know how sometimes it can be difficult to start that fire up again. It's much easier to keep one going than it is to continually try to restart a fire. So I think for me, what makes the most sense is what's worked for years and years and years and has been proven to work. And I do think that in the industry, a lot of times people come up with new types of fad approaches to eating only because they need something new. I mean, if they want to sell something new, they need something new. And the intermittent fasting seems to be that kind of thing for me. Again, two ways that there's downsides to it and not much upside for me. But if it works for you, then by all means, do it and let it go. Guys, there's different ways to eat, but the most important thing is, you gotta find what works for you. Let's see, what else? What can we do to build stamina? Well, first and foremost, don't do videos and try to talk at the same time. As you guys know, I have the worst stamina when it comes to doing my videos and talking. By the time I'm done with it, I can barely speak, especially if you've seen the 11-11-11 workout. But the best way to build stamina is through duration and consistency. So you want to try to get your heart rate up as quickly as you can and try to repeat that as often as you can for as long as you can sustain that. So in ATHLEAN-X, we talk about burst training. And what burst training is it's surrounded around the principle of high intensity interval training. So you want to get your heart rate up right away, as soon as you can. I mean, a brief warm-up period, and that's going to vary from person to person. I tend to be able to warm up rather quickly. But a quick warm-up, get your heart rate up, bring it back down so that you can continue to maintain your workout. Because if you have your heart rate elevated all the way up at, let's say, 80% of your max heart rate, it'd be very tough to be able to sustain that straight through at 80% for a very long period of time. So if you want to work on fat loss, that's great. You keep it up there as high as you can for as hard as you can until you kind of crap out, and that's your workout end. But if you're looking for straight stamina, you'd want to be able to drop that down so you can maintain a longer workout, let's say 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so at most, but get more periods of your elevated heart rate, give yourself a little bit of a break at the lower end, back up to the 80%. So I would say you want to have your intervals probably a little bit shorter on the high intensity and a little bit longer on the drop down period if you're going just straight for stamina. Okay. Should I take antioxidants after I work out? There's a lot of things you should take after you work out, namely some branched chain amino acids, some carbohydrates, protein, again, like I said, start that repair process back. I like to take creatine. I take it in the form of creatinine after workouts. But antioxidants, absolutely. I mean, their antioxidants are key in cell repair. So there's no better time to initiate cell repair than right after a workout. Let's see. Does sprinting make you lose muscle mass? Can we do it after strength training, like after training triceps or shoulders or whatever? That's from Dapro 1100. No, sprinting doesn't make you lose muscle mass. It goes into the that realm of, like I said, the athlete burst training, high intensity training. It's, I mean, you don't have to look much further than the Olympics this summer to see that the sprinters are obviously some of the most muscular guys on the whole Olympic squad because they are using explosive muscle action in order to do what they do. Whenever you do something explosive or short term, like one of the things I would always say to you is, if you could do an exercise for 10 minutes or 12 minutes straight. So let's say like there was a bicep curl exercise that I could do for 12 minutes straight. Then that's more of an aerobic type activity that is definitely, absolutely not going to help you build muscle. All right, I'm talking 12 minutes unabated from beginning to end. Your muscle fibers that you're using there are simply not the fast twitch muscle fibers that you're going to need in order to build more size. So when there's an activity that you tire out at after a certain period of time, sort of in that 30 to 45 to a minute and a half range or whatever, you have a better idea knowing that you're using muscles that are higher in fast twitch in proportion, and related to the type 1, type 2, and also that you're using them effectively, because they're not geared to fire for that long. So if they are firing, you're not using those fibers, you're using more of the type 1. Sprinting is certainly an example of something that those guys go hard for a short period of time, but they don't go long. All right, so it fits right in with what we do at ATHLEAN-X. Is you either train hard or you train long, but you can't do both. Let's see what else. I'm so backed up on these questions, guys. Can you do a video of you working out one day, just a normal day for you at the gym? Guys, I do that all the time. that's what my ATHLEAN-X videos are. I mean, I truly, as I say to you guys all the time, the reason why I know what work, that the stuff that I show you works, is because it's what I do myself, right? And it's what I've used myself. It's what I have my athletes do. If I was training you, it's what you'd be doing. It works because we're not going into that realm of overtraining that I see so many guys fall into, is the susceptibility to overtrain. If you're a natural drug-free athlete, the being careful not to overtrain is one of the things that should be foremost on your mind. You need to be recovering. You need to be resting. I say that it's just as important as your workouts, and you need to be training hard so that you're not in there long. So that you put all those pieces together, you get fantastic results. And that's what you'd see from me. You'd see a very fast workout. Anybody that has the TNT workouts, from ATHLEAN-X, where I do a workout literally straight from the beginning, from the very first rep to the last, I don't think one of those workouts is longer than 30 minutes, because they don't have to be. I go hard, I tire myself out, and I get out. I certainly don't treat the gym as a place to hang out. I just try to get in and get out as fast as I can. Let's see. Do you train every day? No. I just said, with the overtraining, you definitely don't want to train every day. That would be bad. Let me see if I can get some other questions. Let's see. Sorry about that while I go through the thing. How long after your workouts is best to consume protein? Again, right away. Get some protein in as fast as you can. They say there's a window of 45 minutes or so. I mean, guys, one thing I've also found that sort of is funny is, like, they put these windows of 45 minutes, and you have to get your stuff in. It's not like you're gonna blow up like a time bomb. I mean, you have some leeway. I used to work out at a gym that was like 45 minutes away from my house. So by the time I wrapped up at the gym and got home, I wasn't home till hour and 15 minutes later. It's not like it cost me any serious results by not being able to get there 15-20 minutes earlier. So don't start having these worrying fits about whether or not you're home in time to do. Just try to get some protein in you as quickly as possible. That's the most important part. Let's see, bulking tips. Well, I mean, again, I'm not going to treat the word bulking like the first time I answered the question about getting bulky just for the sake of getting bulky. If by bulking you mean adding muscle, I've said it before, you have to train hard. And I know I've addressed this in the video before about what actual hard training is. Hard training is training to failure. And hard training is training to failure on every set. Okay, and when I say, even in the ATHLEAN-X program, if I have something like you're going to do 12 reps of this exercise, that's assuming that you're going to take a weight that you're going to use that's going to tax you, and I mean tax the hell out of you, to get those 12 reps out. So that by the 11th rep, you're sitting there going, there's no way I have 12 in me. And for some way, shape, or form, you're able to squeeze out one final rep that you don't believe you actually got out. That's hard training, and that's training to failure. That's why you can train short, because if you're laying that level of intensity on the line, your muscles are basically saying to you, they're having a little communication with you in your head. They're saying, I can't stand what you just did to me. That hurt. That was uncomfortable. The next time you try to do that to me, I'm not going to allow you to, because I'm going to get myself a little bit more fortified, a little bit stronger, so that if you try to subject me to that again, it's not going to feel the same. That's the kind of way you have to approach your workout. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to see the type of growth that you want to see no matter what program you're following. So if you train like that, you're going to quickly see it's impossible to train for 60 minutes. It's impossible even more to train for 90 minutes. So I know that there's a lot of programs out there that allow you to train for 60 and 90 minutes, but then they're getting the whole concept of intensity wrong. They're not allowing you to train as intensely as you need to build the most muscle that you can. Can you build muscle that way? Maybe. But can you build the most muscle? Definitely not. Definitely not. Pre-workout stretching, that's a good one. I don't stretch pre-workout. I don't stretch pre-workout. The only time I really recommend stretching is at night before you go to bed. The muscles that you either train that day or the muscles that you find are usually most tight. So I tend to have tight hamstrings, so I'll stretch my hamstrings out every night just as a way to sort of feel a little bit more loose. It's almost like I don't feel right if I don't. But from a stretching standpoint of of what you trained that day, don't do it before you work out, because again, there is some scientific evidence that shows that long, static pre-stretching before you work out changes the cross bridge in the linking between your actin and myosin fibers in your muscle. So because you sort of exaggerate the resting condition of that muscle, they're not really in a position anymore. I don't know if you can see this, but they're not in the position anymore to link with each other. And remember, it goes like a ratchet. When the muscle contracts, it grabs, the fibers grab on, they ratchet closer and closer to a stronger contraction. But if they're already outside the range of being able to even grab each other, from a lot of static stretching prior to working out, you don't have the same power generation that you can, because they can't really reach and establish a connection. I mean, sure they can at certain points, but it's not the full contraction that you're used to experiencing. So what happens is, after time, it will start to settle back in to that that position where they can at least start grabbing each other and then ratcheting forward. But unfortunately, you probably already went through your first exercise. You might be through the second set on your second exercise, and you're already having a crappy workout because you couldn't lift as much. And it goes back to that whole concept of the intensity that you were able to deliver. You weren't able to bring the intensity that you needed to have a great workout. So don't stretch pre-workout. Stretch much better off stretching not even after your workout, but later on that night, because when you sleep at night is when your muscles will repair, and normally they'll repair themselves a little bit shorter than they did before you went to bed, so you can sort of optimize that and stretch them prior to going to bed. Let's see, foam rollers any good? Foam rollers, Don King. Don King's watching this? Hey, Don King. Um, the foam rollers are great, and the reason why they're different is that I was looking for something that I could use to show this, but the foam roller works on muscle quality, while stretching usually works on the muscle length. So if you think about it, you've got your muscle. Let's say this is your muscle you're going to stretch here. Here's your origin. Here's your insertion. When you stretch a muscle out, normally what you're doing is you're getting most of the stretch and the tension felt on the origin and the insertion, so the two endpoints of the muscle. And you're not really working too much on the stretch in the belly area of the muscle. It gets a little bit of stretch, but not as much tension as the two endpoints, right? So what the foam rolling will do is it will work on that tissue quality at all points up and down the muscle. So if you have knots again, this is all exaggerated for you guys to be able to see this, but if you have knots in through the muscle here, rolling out or just stretching is really just going to tighten that knot, right? Because if you think about it, it's just going to tighten. Actually, I do have something I can show you. And someone always said that I always resort to a rubber band when I have to show a demonstration. Well, here's what we got. So here's my muscle, and we're gonna create a little knot in the middle. Okay. So here's my muscle, or here's my muscle right here. Basically, when I take it and I go and I stretch it, that knot gets tighter and tighter and tighter. Right? So what you want to do is you always want to complement your stretching with foam rolling, because the foam rolling is what's going to help you to actually roll this knot out. And then when you go back to stretch it, then you got yourself a muscle that actually allows you to get good stretch on it. Okay, so it's very important. As a matter of fact, it's as important as stretching to start foam rolling. Let's see. If there's anybody that said that they can't really hear it as good, the problem is if I up my audio, it gets a lot of feedback. So on you guys, it would be, it would be terrible. So you just have to turn up your audio as high as you can. Standing or seated shoulder presses. That's actually a great question. I like standing anything over seated anything because, first of all, it's more functional. If I can get my athletes on their feet as often as I can, which is what we try to do with ATHLEAN-X, get you on your feet as often as possible so that when you're working, first of all, you're going to activate your core more. Because your core is going to, as soon as you stand on your feet, your core is going to be more engaged. Okay. Secondly, when you have to press overhead, if you don't have the luxury of being able to counter push into a bench, you're not going to be able to push as much. But that doesn't bother me because I'm looking to overload the muscles the way that they're meant to be worked. So that if we can overload the shoulders and also bring the core into it, that's a better exercise. If we put you up into a bench, what happens is a lot of times your shoulder blades, first of all, you push your head into the back of the bench, so you're using that counter force to be able to push the weights up. So you're cheating the weights up, and you'll probably notice you can probably lift 10 pounds more at least on a seated shoulder press than you can with the back support up than you can on a standing shoulder press. But you tend to lock your shoulder blades up against the back of the bench. And you have to remember, when you're lifting your arm up over your head, there's a contribution that happens of elevation of your arm from your shoulder blade. So it's part of something called the glenohumeral rhythm. So you got to be able to have some of the shoulder blade contribute some rotation up. If you're pinching your shoulder blades back into a bench, you're basically locking that shoulder blade in place. You're interfering with the natural movement of the press, and you'll probably wind up still getting up to the top, but you're going to be causing compensations and getting movement other places. And what happens over time is you're going to wind up ruining your shoulders. So seated shoulder presses usually wind up leading to more shoulder problems than guys that stand up and do the presses that way. People are still asking about intermittent fasting. I did answer that question. It was back a little bit earlier. So once this is done, you'll be able to play it back and watch it. Should I consume alcohol and expect good results by working out? Are you talking about drinking while you're working out? I mean, guys, the problem with alcohol is it's first of all, it's digested slightly differently than anything else. You probably heard that every gram of protein, is a 4 calorie, 4 calorie commitment from your body to digest that. Whereas a gram of fat is 9 calories of produced energy. Alcohol is 7, so it sort of fits in between carbs, which are also 4, and fats. So they're treated more along the lines of dietary fats. The problem with them is that there's no real satiety feel with alcohol. First of all, it usually inhibits your ability to control your appetite, so you'll eat more. That's problem number one. The problem number two is you can kind of drink and keep drinking and keep drinking, and there's no real limit to your body's ability to consume it. So you're eating, by the time you're done, you're consuming a lot of calories through alcohol that normally wouldn't be consumed. So I mean, it's not unnatural to be out at night with the guys drinking beer and consume 1,200, 1,500 calories and still be hungry and still eat. And I can tell you right away that those excess calories, especially because they're not treated as efficiently as your carbs and proteins are, they're going to lead to being overweight. And you certainly are going to have a much harder time having six-pack abs if you're drinking all the time than the guy who's not. So, I mean, me personally, I don't drink alcohol, and it's just because I think it makes me feel better that I don't, but I think it also is going to help me to have a leaner physique without having to worry about the excess calories that come from drinking. Let's see. Do you rate incorporating Olympic lifts into workout routines? Yeah, I think Olympic lifts are cool because they're They're explosive, number one, and they're usually ground-based. So we take variations on Olympic lifts. We make them a little bit more functional. We're not just looking at strict power numbers or an ultimate amount of weight that we can move. We always want to kind of transfer that to power or to function, because we know that when you combine function, you start to gain those elements of being and looking athletic, right? So we're not locking ourselves into place to just do a clean and snatch, but we're going to do something explosive like that, but tie it into something where we can be even a little bit more functional. So maybe a shuffle pattern with a clean and press, so we're moving at the same time that we're being explosive. But they're great. They're great. Um, let's see. Casein after workout instead of before sleep in the cutting phase. Not for me. I think casein protein belongs in one place during the day, and that's at night, again, for recovery. Slower digesting, slower release protein. For me, it's whey protein and branched chain amino acids, the more readily available proteins. Again, for the whole reason that you want to get protein into your muscles right after they're done training, or again within that reasonable time frame after training, to help with the muscle repair. That's how the ATHLEAN-RX supplements are set up, by the way. We have our pre-workout RX1, RX2 has the branched chain amino acids, has the protein in a whey form afterwards, and then at night casein protein mostly, but a little bit of whey protein even at night, just a little bit, because it's been shown to actually help kickstart the muscle repair process from basically the time you put your head on the pillow, and then let the casein pick up the slack and kind of bring you through the rest of the night. So that was one of the changes we made in the Black Label series in ATHLEAN-X, where we added a little bit of the nighttime whey protein as that kickstart. Because one thing, guys, you'll I hope get from me whenever you tune into my channel, I'm always trying to stay up on what is the most current research, whether it be intermittent fasting, whether it be nighttime protein sources, whatever it is, and trying to put that into what it is that I provide you. So put it into the workouts that we give you during the weeks, put it into the ATHLEAN-X program, put it into the RX supplements. The latest research goes back to you, and hopefully you guys benefit from it. So I'm always trying to learn. Again, even if it's something I don't necessarily agree with, like the intermittent fasting, I still believe that it's something that guys are doing. Guys have questions about it, obviously, and we want to get you the answers to that. So that's how we do it. You can then make your decisions from there. But I want to at least give you the best answer. Compound lifts or isolation exercises for building size. Compound lifts. Isolation exercises, can work, but there's really no such thing as an isolation exercise, as far as I'm concerned, that I would do. Concentration curls, I don't do. I don't include them. Leg extensions, I don't include them, because functionally, that's not how those muscles tend to want to work anyway, right? I mean, the bicep muscle crosses the shoulder joint, so having some shoulder contribution to an arm curl is more of a functional movement than doing a concentration curl. We're totally removing that out of the equation, and you have your arm locked up or pinned up against the inside of your thigh, doing a glorified mirror exercise, something that just looks good for you for the mirror. We want to be a lot more explosive than that, because overall it's going to lead to more muscle growth anyway. So I think it's a better use of your time. Let's see. What else? Almost got to wrap this up in just about another 5 minutes or so. Let me go back to some of these earlier comments that I missed. Let's see. Can I use ATHLEAN-X in conjunction with boxing? Absolutely. I mean, we have some of the best MMA fighters and UFC fighters that use our program. They do their skill work and training around their ATHLEAN-X schedule. And because, again, we're not overtraining you with ATHLEAN-X, that still allows you to do that. And those guys kick some major ass. So I think it's a perfect combination. Let's see. I just got off my cast. How should I reapproach? I got my cast off. How should I reapproach ATHLEAN-X? Carefully. when you get off of, look guys, I'm going through it right now. When you get off of a period of being laid up, whether it be for injury or surgery or whatever it be, you got to be smart. I mean, if you don't think I was looking to get down here and start doing cleaning presses and lunges and stuff right after my surgery, I mean, guys, I've been wanting to do that since day 2, but the body will let you know. I tried to do some crunch exercises and stuff, and all that area was cut in, so it didn't feel too good. And unfortunately, it's not something I should, go back and do until it gets better. Now, every day I feel much, much better. And you might feel even better without your cast every single day. But you have to make sure that you take your time. And usually your body will let you know when you're overdoing it and when you're not. Start off with smaller bits. So if you don't, start off with some of the YouTube videos here, some of the 5-minute workouts, and pace yourself. And as you know that you can do those and tackle those, then jump back into the entire training program. So again, that's all laid out for you, so you can follow it once you know that you can handle some of the YouTube videos. Let's get a couple of the other. Let's see a couple of the other things here. I'm going to scroll way down to the bottom and see. Make sure your post as a cop and soldier. You've helped me a lot. That's awesome. I love that. Whenever the servicemen write in and tell us how they have benefited from using ATHLEAN-X, I think that's the greatest thing I get to hear. So thank you for watching. How to avoid shoulder pain while bench pressing. That's a good one. Don't go down too low. I could tell you myself, I actually had an injury here. This shoulder looks fine. This one, you can probably see I've got the remnants of an AC joint dislocation here. It all happened from just going slightly lower than I should have, which I always recommend 90 degrees. Don't go any lower than 90 degrees. If you start to get down to 90, your chest is definitely engaged at that point. Those extra 2 or 3 inches, it's not worth it, because all it takes is one single rep to pop that AC joint. It's a lot of instability. You're going to have a lot of pain. You're probably going to have to lay off of pressing for a long, long period of time. So you want to make sure that you're not going too low. Keep it at the 90 degrees. Go as heavy as you can, but also don't go any lower than that. And then your shoulders will thank you for that. If you have to, if you want to burn out after you go, as let's say you feel like you're cutting yourself a little bit short on the range, do as many as you can, and then just drop down to the floor and rep out with a push-up and a burnout set, and you're going to wind up going way beyond failure and getting a great getting a great result from it. Anything else? Let's see. I'll take 2 more questions. All right, last 2 questions, and then I'll wrap it up. Let's see. A lot of stuff about compound stuff. Let me go again all the way down to the bottom. Should you work out every day? We already talked about that. Do you believe in the integration of yoga to create athleticism? Yoga's tough, man. I mean, I've done yoga before, and it's no walk in the park. I mean, especially I like yoga on recovery days, and for me, I feel like I'm still a little bit shaky from the workout the day before. So if I have to do sustained holds, or if you're really working at yoga, I was told by a teacher once that if you don't come out of your yoga class, having felt like you just actually did something or worked out, then you're not doing it right. Because she said you should be contracting every muscle when you're doing yoga. So if you're getting into a stretch position where you're trying to stretch out your hamstrings, she said you should be contracting your quads as hard as you possibly can, because you want to assist that hamstring and stretch by contracting your quads as hard as possible. So everything in yoga, you really should be activating muscles to do it. So it's not really a passive thing. As a matter of fact, it's an active thing, and I think it's great as a way to assist in recovery, because it does help to flush your muscles, especially after you're doing something a hard day of training. Yeah, all right, last one. What do you think about Tabata and 5x5 workouts? Please answer. Please answer. I'll talk about Tabata. Tabata. I like it. For me, it's sort of it's not a muscle building thing at all, because a lot of times it takes guys a little bit. We talked about with that stretching thing before. It takes you a little time to get yourself sort of into the groove of the exercise. And with Tabata, you're looking at 20 seconds. Probably by the time you're in a groove, you're already 10 seconds in, and you're only going to get a couple reps out. So it's not the type of thing that's used for muscle building, but it certainly can be used to be a great conditioning exercise. And as far as 5x5, I mean, I like a little bit more, a few more reps, because I feel like the ultimate thing that we're after here is time under tension. Your muscles know just the stress that you put on them, and they know that sustained stress makes it more difficult for it, for the muscle itself. So in the long run, more of a stimulus for muscle growth. So they found, documented evidence that longer time under tension with high loads, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, generates a better workout, period. You're going to have more muscle growth from it. It's going to force you to slow things down. It's going to force you, again, do one thing for me as sort of your homework assignment. Go do your next set of whatever it is. Go do a set of lat pull downs or whatever, and just time yourself with a stopwatch and see how long it takes you to do your 10, 12 reps. And I guarantee you're going to be somewhere in that 22, 23 second range, and you'll feel like you're going nice and evenly paced. But the fact of the matter is, it's going far too fast and far too quick to actually give yourself the best result you could have gotten from that set. Because again, the research shows that 45 seconds or so or more sustained time on attention is going to deliver a better stimulus to that muscle. So overall, that stimulus is going to provide more of an opportunity for growth. And remember, tension is up and down, so you don't just let yourself drop after you've pushed the weight up, or vice versa. After you pulled it down, you don't just let it go straight up. You want to make sure that there's tension up and there's tension down. So always focus hard on the muscle that's working and on the activity that you're doing, so that you can maximize the amount of stress that muscle is going through. All right. So guys, I love being able to do these things. Again, I hope to be back in here live doing my own thing again, the way I like to. But I think you guys, if you like these things, let me know. Leave the comments on the video later on after this video closes, and we'll do more of them. For sure, definitely we'll do more of them. And we'll even start making topics around some of them. And maybe I can even do one of those live workouts. I'm just not sure how it would work with the cameras, set up. But I could do sort of a live look-in workout. You guys can work out along with me. But again, now that I have an opportunity to see that with you guys here live, thank you so much for your support of ATHLEAN-X. I hope that when you come to this channel, that you look forward to every Saturday when a video goes out, and you say, I can't wait for the next video to go out, or I can't wait for the next workout in ATHLEAN-X, because I want to make training fun again by getting you up and moving and getting you to see results. There's nothing that can stop a training program from being fun or something you look forward to more than not seeing results from it. So I'm very confident that when you do a training program that trains you hard, that trains you right, and that utilizes muscle science to be able to do what you do in the workouts, that's going to give you the best results that you can get. And I wouldn't ever do anything or provide anything for you guys that I'm not doing myself. So if you want the knowledge of knowing that it's been tested and proven on myself and other guys as well, then you know that. So keep coming back here, guys. Let me know what kind of things you want to see, and we'll keep doing them. We'll keep rolling here with ATHLEAN-X. But again, without you guys, we wouldn't be who we are. So I appreciate your support, and thank you guys for the well wishes on the appendix. I didn't need that damn thing anyway. I feel lighter now that I don't have it anyway. So no, there's no telling what I'm gonna be able to do in the gym now that I don't have an appendix. All right, guys. I will see you guys soon. Again, let me know if you want to see more of these. And then in the meantime, head over to athleanx.com, guys. Grab the training program if you haven't. Believe me, it's not too late. I know people say, oh, it's summertime, I can't get in shape already. That's BS. You can get in shape. You can start seeing results in the first 2 weeks. So for me, there's plenty of summer left. And if you want to start looking good, get started on it. It's over at athleanx.com. If you haven't, I know one of the questions came up, AX1, AX2. If you haven't done any of the AX programs yet, guys, start with AX1. There's a reason why I made them as a progressive thing. Guys that are doing AX2 right now can tell you that it will kick your butt. And AX1 is what sets that foundation. It's going to set the stage for you to have the ability to go after AX2, and it's going to bring you some fantastic results, which is what all the results that you see on ATHLEAN-X website right now were from the original AX1 program. So get started on AX1, build your body up, bring yourself to AX2, and keep sending me those transformations, guys. All right, I talked too much here. I'm going to run. I'll see you guys next week with hopefully a new video. Thanks, guys.